Hey there everybody, it's Lucas, and I created a house. Except you can't live in it, so technically it's not a house, it's actually a training dojo. I don't know why I called it a house, because it's not, you can't live in here. Anyway, I wanted to give you guys a tour of this. Look who I just found, guys. It's everybody's favorite character. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys, I'm gonna give you guys a complete tour of it and you know, talk a little bit about it, maybe do some rambling, because that's kind of what I like to do. Okay, so first I do want to show you guys what it looks like in the city. So I have some pictures and things, and I totally did not, definitely 100% did not take these pictures at the perfect angle not to show, so that none of the messiness of our Lego table would be shown. No, it's always perfect. Anyway, let's go ahead and just start with the very front. So first of all, we have these doors. These doors were probably the hardest part of the build, besides finding all the pieces to actually, you know, build the sides, because it was still difficult even though a lot of the pieces were sorted. But it was very difficult because you kind of had to figure out how to get these to slide properly, how to get them to stay in place. I mean, of course, you don't want them falling out or anything. So finally, I got a thing. It opens to a 4-stud opening, so a minifigure can fit, you know, comfortably in there. I mean, it's not too much room for him, but it's okay. And I could have done it wider, but it's hard to find 1x1s. It is really, really difficult, at least in our collection. One thing that I really don't like about this entrance, but that really couldn't be helped, is that, of course, you can see the studs just up there. There was no helping that. I tried multiple things. I tried to put a flat piece up there, but it doesn't work. Nothing else really works besides these studs. They're the only thing that's the correct size to really fit in, even though, I mean, to me, I don't know. I really wanted to be able to do something different for that, but it just would not work, so therefore I could not do it. Also, this sign's actually supposed to be maybe a little bit turned, because the building's supposed to go straight, but the rest of the sign kind of goes to the side, because, I mean, if you can imagine this, the city would sort of be over here in this area. So, you know, citizens would, like, let's say Dareth, of course, this is his dojo, but let's say he would just walk up, and you know, he would see the sign, except it would be a different character because this is his dojo. And so I kind of angled it toward that area to make it look more realistic. And also, I just felt like straight was a little boring. I mean, look. I mean, keeping it perfectly straight like that just doesn't really work for me. Keeping it a little bit angled, and, you know, it even looks a little bit better. Just, yes. So for the sign, I went with a sort of red and brown color scheme. Of course, the brown ninja over here, he has like a brown costume. But no red, really, but I just felt like that accented, you know, kind of went with the sort of, I mean, kind of reminds me of Kai back there. Not really why I did it, but I just felt like it worked really well. And yeah, so I feel like I did pretty good. It's only connected just by that and that right there. So it's not very well connected, but it works. And I can, of course, turn it any way I really need to. So, I mean, it works. It's not perfect. If I had more pieces, I would definitely change it up a little bit, like maybe make these flat, these little sides, and of course there would be no stud right there because that just kind of throws it off a little bit, but it was the best I could do with the limited pieces that I have. Even though our pieces are now sorted, it's still not perfect. Like, I mean, of course, I don't think anybody's collection has every single piece they need. Even, I mean, it just feels like we have so many pieces that it's literally unreal. It's hard to sort them all. We just don't have enough room to even sort them all, and also it takes forever to sort them all, but we still don't seem to have enough pieces ever, no matter how many pieces we collect. Right here, I decided to not leave this bland. I could have just left this, you know, with like a regular, that matched the rest of this. But I wanted to kind of highlight it with these orange pieces, and I feel like that looks pretty good. At the sides, we have one window there, we have another window there, and another window there. So I wanted to give a couple of windows, but windows are very hard to build around. As you can see, that is, some of this is very awkward building. Like, so I'm trying to think of a place. You know, I don't actually see any, but I remember building it and there being some places where it was just really awkward to do. And so, but it ended up working out. Everything, you know, looks good now, I think. And yeah, that pretty much does it for the outside. We may have spent a little bit too long on that, but that's fine. You know, these videos are very rambly and that's the way I like to keep them. So yeah, let's go ahead and take off the roof. So for the roof design, I did go with this very easily removable roof. See, what I do is I take the pieces and I will put them in the shape of the roof where they'll just go one stud in. So the flat pieces that I have over here will actually go just inside there. And I had to do a little bit extended because that right there, which is where the door is. And I went with a brown and gray color scheme, and I tried to line it up perfectly. I didn't have enough brown to complete it all. So I decided to go with both color schemes, but, you know, kind of make it make sense. You know, I didn't want to like have a gray piece there, a brown piece there, a gray, brown, you know, all mixed up like that. I wanted to make it look still very organized, and I think I did a pretty good job at that. Coming to the inside, but we're just going to start with the very entrance. So here's what the door would look like opening from the inside. Of course, as you can see, I would really like it to open a little bit farther. Here's what a minifigure would look like entering. And we do have more minifigures. Lego buildings. My hands are way too big for this. But for the actual tiling, now you might notice that there is one little piece missing. It's not missing, but I just used an awkward piece. I don't know why I did that. I mean, it's not the best looking at that section. Everything else, though, I think fits with the color scheme very well, and, you know, fits with the... I wanted to make the entire floor regular. This part right here, the reason it's a different color is, at least my excuse for why it's a different color, is I wanted to, you know, show where the minifigure would actually go, like as far as where he would go to actually punch this. And so there is what that looks like. The punching bag build, let's go ahead and take that out, and I want to show you guys what I did there. I wanted to really work hard on these builds, or at least decently hard on them. So with the punching bag, I was going for a build where I was going to have like a little thing come up and hold it or something, but that ended up not working out. I had very limited space, of course, and so I needed something that could, you know, fit in a small space, but yet still be recognizable. Like, wow, that's a punching bag, makes me want to punch it. And so I did that. I feel like I did a decent job at it. It does have a little hole in it right there. That was going to be for the original build, but now it's just kind of, that's kind of weird. But other than that, everything I think looks decent. It just has a little stick holding it up, and that's not supposed to happen. That's a balloon piece right there. And that just goes straight through it, or at least pretty far through it. And so, yeah, there's the build for that. Now I'm going to go through some of the other builds. Like, I actually want to take them all out and show you guys what the separate builds look like. So for the second build, I chose to build a weapons rack, because I feel like that's really important. I mean, you can't always expect the Ninjago characters or anybody training, here's one of the Ninjago characters, to bring his own weapon. You know, sometimes they might forget one, or maybe they just don't have one. Maybe they're very new at this, and so they just don't keep weapons with them, or something like that. So we have a spear held by two clip pieces. We have... a nunchuck held by another weapon, which is like a little spear sort of thing. I guess that one would be like for fishing or something. Not entirely sure there. And finally, we have a bow and arrow. And all of these, I think, are decent weapons. I wish I could have included a sword, but again, limited space, so I was only able to include those builds right there. But I think it turned out pretty good. As for the last build, I'm going to take that out here. This is a weapon that would be used as a sort of melee weapon, I guess you could call it. So, just as an example of what this is actually used for, you would have a character, this is probably either you hit it and it would swing around, or it's like an animatronic thing where it would swing around on its own, and it would come back around, and it's very hard to do because it's not attached to a stud right now, but you would hit it, and you know, basically you just fight with it. And I'm guessing it would be controlled by something. And so it's a good training thing to prepare you for fighting an enemy. Of course, no training thing can really prepare you for fighting an enemy as good as actually fighting an enemy would, because these bad guys are like smart. This isn't. That's just something that I've noticed in every cartoon that I watch, Ninjago included. The villains are always of course, I mean, that kind of makes sense. I mean, I don't think your villains are going to be like these. They're not standing still. They're going everywhere. They're smart. They have plans. They know how to, you know, do things, not just stand there. But it is good so that you can get kind of a feel for your weapon and, you know, get a little bit better at swinging it and, you know, hitting it and everything like that. So, yeah, now literally every one of the weapons are cleared out. Of course, you can reposition these. There's multiple studs. I think that is a good feature. You know, if they ever want to change around the dojo, they can. Like, I'm talking about like the figures. I'm talking about like they're alive. Because, you know, I think when you're building, I think it's good to imagine what it would be like if these characters were alive. Because that just helps, at least me personally, it helps me kind of get the idea of what I need the characters to be able to do. Because otherwise you're building, you know, you don't really get the full grasp. Like, what would I use in this situation? And I think all of this works. I just wanted to have enough ground floor, you know, floor room to where I could put this back and, you know, have a little bit of room for two figures to fight. So we could have like Jay over here, and we could have, of course, I don't think Dareth would fight him. Like, he already lost to Kai in one season, so I don't think he wants to fight him anymore. But, you know, with other characters and things, you could have a pretty epic fight. Okay guys, so final thoughts on everything. I think it works for what it is. I think it works for the scale. And overall, the main thing is that it works for our city and for the characters. I think sometimes as LEGO creators and everything, we compare our builds to people like Jang Bricks or, you know, other creators and other mock builders. But really, I think what we should be lining these up with is what we would want if we were a minifigure. Like, what would we need in that build? I don't think we should compare ourselves with people like that, except for, of course, to get better at it. But I don't think we should down ourselves if it's not that. I think we should, however, do the best of our ability to make it look like what we would want it to look like in a real life. Like, if we were to go to this in real life, would it satisfy us? And my answer, yes, 100%. I think this would work perfectly for a dojo, and I'm happy with it. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, guys. I want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and yeah, feel free to leave a link to any mocks that you guys want me to check out, because I love getting inspiration from different mocks. Every build I try and get better and better. I don't try to down myself when it's not as good as everybody else's. And yeah, I think that's just a good rule to live by, you know, for LEGO building. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye for now. Explosion. I don't know why there's always explosions, but it's epicer.